ladies and gentlemen. This is Genesis Does from Mr. MegaManFan. And today, what Nintendon't do is Vectorman by BlueSky's software, a somewhat later release in the Sega Genesis library from October of 1995. In the year 2049, the Earth has been turned into a toxic waste dump. Boy, if that isn't prophetic, I'm sure we're heading in that direction right now, especially with the current administration, but I was not trained to get political with this, so I'll get back to the game. Play to win on the back. If you get all the way to the end of the game and it says, you win, you get a secret phone number you can call to win a prize, and there are the odds. But that contest is long since over. But this game is not long over. It is right here, right now, complete with a manual that advertises Comic Zone on the back. And the manual is in very nice shape. You can see all of the different enemy types listed here that Vectorman has to knock out as he cleans up the toxic earth and fights the evil warhead. And as a bonus, this one also came with a Sega catalog. And Sonic says, "Check this out, dude. Sonic speed! Chili cheese dogs, gotta go fast!" But inside it's all Sega sports. Where's the Sonic merch? Where's the Knuckles merch? Oh well, at least I have a game I can play in the box. Very nice looking condition cart. Almost a flawless label. I wouldn't say 10 out of 10, but maybe 9.5. That's looking real sweet. Very little peeling on the top. No stains, no tears. Let's go ahead and pop this in the analog, shall we? We shall. As the cartridge boots up on the analog, I'll give you a few more facts about this game. The exact release date in all regions: October 24th, 1995 in North America, November 30th, 1995 in Europe. Eventually, it made its way to Virtual Console, but not for another decade and a couple of years. In Japan, it was released February 27, 2007, the European Union April 7, 2007, and finally, in North America, Wii Virtual Console got it on September 22nd, 2008. The game was designed by Richard Karp and Mark Lorenzen and composed by John Holland. As mentioned, the story is that the population of Earth left because of the toxic sludge on the planet, leaving behind what they called Orbots to clean up the mess. Unfortunately, in the process of doing so, one of the robots cleaning up the mess found a nuclear warhead, and that's when things went awry. He connected with it, became somehow infected with evil because it was a weapon of mass destruction, rechristened himself Warhead, and then decided he was going to wage war on humanity for destroying their own planet. Vectorman was delivering a toxic load of sludge to the sun and was not under Warhead's mind control, so when he returned, he vowed to fight this evil. Now, the very fact that our protagonist is named Vectorman is a reference to the fact that he is made with pre-rendered 3D models, as you could probably tell by the fact that he is in a variety of floating pieces that are loosely connected together. And the fact that the enemy was named Raster and renamed himself Warhead is also a reference to the opposite of vector graphics, which would be raster graphics. So the game was leaning in heavy to the fact that they wanted to show off what a Sega Genesis could do with a game that they blatantly admit was an answer to Rare's Donkey Kong Country on SNES. This was meant to be the rival of the DKC games, which is why there's also a Vectorman 2 to go along with the original Vectorman. Let me tell you a little more about that contest, though. The play to win had a top prize of $25,000, several $10,000 prizes for second, third place, whatever, and you could also win a free Sega Saturn console. That should tell you just how late in the life of the Genesis that Vectorman and Vectorman 2 came out. There was, in fact, a winner of the contest. Keola Koala of Albuquerque, New Mexico, won the grand prize, so he got the $25,000, a VIP tour of Sega of America headquarters, and also got to star in a Sega TV commercial. Now, here's your challenge for this episode of Genesis Does. See if you can find that commercial anywhere on the internet, because I've never seen it. I'm not saying it's not out there. I'm not saying it's not on YouTube, because it probably is, but I have not seen it. Now, there was plans for a third Vectorman game, and I'm going to quote directly from the Wikipedia page here just to tell you more about it. So, Creative Commons license applies. And I quote, a design document was completed for a third Vectorman title, which would have appeared on the Saturn, not the Genesis, but Blue Sky Software's relationship with Sega ended before the proposal could be reviewed or greenlit. In the year 2000, 6 former Blue Sky employees formed a new company called V-Blank Software to create original titles for Sony's PlayStation 2. One of the projects they worked on was a demo for a new 3D Vectorman game, which would have featured the character on an alien planet with new transformations. Sega had already established a relationship with Canadian developer Pseudo Interactive to create a Vectorman title that was based around more traditional combat and had a more serious tone, so V-Blank never got to present its demo, and then Sega canceled Pseudo Interactive's Vectorman title after it was briefly shown at the 2003 Electronic Entertainment Expo, aka E3. So there is a lost Vectorman 3 demo out there somewhere, but not made by the original designers of Vectorman 1 and 2, Blue Sky Software. So how authentic we would consider that to the Vectorman legacy is hard to say, but it was commissioned by Sega and then canceled by Sega. So I suppose make of that what you will. Now, in the game, you have a variety of different goals in each level. You have these orbs to collect. You have TVs to destroy. The TVs contain power-ups. You have enemies to defeat. And there is a boss at the very end of the level. So there's a lot going on in Vectorman. There's a lot to do. I have to say this is only the third game I've played on my analog since I got it from that fine company, and it is exceeding my expectations in terms of the quality of the games. Everything works the way I would want it to. The picture is great. The sound is perfect. It's just a marvel to behold. Playing Sega Genesis games in beautiful HDMI output without using a Sega Classics compilation, such as the one I have for Nintendo Switch. Now I have the full picture for any Sega Genesis game I decide to play. Here's one of those aforementioned boss fights, but I'm pretty low on health at this point, so I don't think I'm going to survive it. I'll give it my best shot, pun sort of intended, but yes, I'm raving about the fact that I love the analog, but how could I not when it opens up my entire Genesis library, which is about 300 games, give or take. So I really enjoy the fact that now I can play all of my Sega Genesis games in HD, and not just the ones that Sega picked to showcase as being worthwhile of inclusion in a Sega Classics compilation. But don't get me wrong, I still appreciate that compilation, especially for the pause, rewind, fast forward, save state features, and for the convenience of having all of those games compiled together into one group and not having to pull out an individual cartridge for each one. But then again, I believe if you jailbreak the analog, and I know there's an official jailbreak from Kevtris out there, that you can play your games off of an SD card, and you can also play ColecoVision and TurboGrafx games, so I've got a little work to do tonight. I've got to go through those options and try all of that out, and then I could have multiple games at the ready to load up whether I have a cartridge or not. So, in effect, I can make my own Sega Classics, and quite frankly, I have every right to, because it would be legal backups of games that I already own. If you've seen the videos here on this channel, you know my Sega Genesis collection is pretty massive. The only thing that bugs me about it is the games that aren't complete in the box, the ones that are box and cartridge only, or the ones that are cartridge and manual only, or worst of all, the ones that are just cartridge only. Originally, Vectorman was one of those cartridge-only games, but thanks to my recent trip to Dallas, Texas, I was able to score this one for a little under the market value for a complete in-box copy, and I got 15% off because I had a coupon from Half Price Books that I hadn't used yet. So, with those two things combined together, getting a complete in-box copy was well worth it. So, I'm going to end up selling off the loose copy. If you follow SJuon on eBay, SJUON, you'll find it there. Now, if I can be honest, on my first run of the game, I was making a lot of mistakes. I was not destroying the TVs and collecting the power-ups, and you can see that I'm much better armed to face the enemies with my rapid-fire weapons here. So, I feel like I have a much better chance of winning the boss fight this time around. Unfortunately, my rapid-fire weapon ran out just as the boss appeared, and then I immediately took a hit from one of his wrecking balls on the side. So, at a disadvantage in two distinct ways, but I will persevere. I will never give up, never surrender. I'm going to fight this battle to the bitter end, and unlike the last time, I will win. So, let's get this job done. Swing to the left, swing to the right, stay in the middle, fight, fight, fight. I've got to go back and do it again, but I need a power-up, so let's see if I can get past this guy and shoot a TV and maybe collect another rapid-fire weapon. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time figuring out how to aim at a downward slope. I can aim at an upward angle, but not so easily at a downward angle for some reason, so screw it. I'm on my last life. I'm just going to have to go for broke, figuratively and literally. I just gotta stay in the middle as much as possible to avoid those wrecking balls, which I already failed to do once. And then, of course, he drops stuff down from his docking bay, I guess you want to call it, because it kind of looks like an airplane. So I'm going to assume that he's just unloading garbage onto my head, since this is, after all, a toxic planet Earth. So I've got to avoid the wrecking balls on either side and avoid the garbage dumps from the docking bay in the middle. And if I can just hold on and do enough damage to him, I'm going to win this fight. I'm not giving up. I've died twice. I will not die a third time. I'm going to do it. Fight, 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 Vectorman. Fight for glory. Do it for the glory of the Zerg Empire. Use Zerg for great justice. Yes! I don't know who the Zerg Empire is, but hey, it inspired me. It worked. That is a completed level. Hooray, as Steve Gaming would say. Now, can we beat this game without ever pressing right? Let's find out. Let's do it. I love Steve Gaming. I'm not mocking you in any way, brother. I think your videos are awesome. But my skills on this train track level, clearly not so awesome. Game over. Or perhaps, game over, yeah! Well, that's it for Genesis Does this week. I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and as always, thank you for watching.